Hi everyone, Pastor Andrew back again with another Wednesday Word, and we're continuing our series on the Small Catechism. Today we're going to look a little bit at the sacrament of Holy Baptism and why it's important that we continue to celebrate and observe and participate in this sacrament. I think this is an especially interesting question because the church is divided in a lot of places about especially the practice of infant baptism. And what does baptism mean in the life of a person who doesn't know that they've been baptized at all, who doesn't have a choice in the matter? Luther pondered this himself, and he was surrounded by people who thought that the practice of infant baptism was useless or not worth continuing. He looked back at the history of the church and said, well, the church has been baptizing infants for a long, long time, and if that practice wasn't fruitful, then it's not something that the church would have continued. That's not a terribly compelling argument to make. Just because something's been done for a long time doesn't mean it should continue, and I don't have to come up with examples of that. You can come up with them yourself. So then why continue to baptize infants, and why is baptism still an important thing? Baptism, to me, represents one of the clearest examples of God's grace that we can possibly think of. And as Lutherans, I think that's one of our central beliefs. The idea that God's grace comes to us, God's love comes to us without our effort. And there's no clearer example of this than when infants who don't know what's going on around them come to the font and receive these gifts of grace, the forgiveness that comes through baptism, the act of being joined to a community that promises to love and support them. But then you look at someone like me, who was baptized 4 months after they were born 36 years ago. How can baptism still have any significance for me? For me, baptism is something that can't be taken away from me. Baptism is a fact about my life that no one can challenge or change. When I was 4 months old, God said yes to me. God showered me with grace and love, and that fact about my life is something that can't be removed from me, no matter what. And so even though I can't remember what it was like to be baptized, it's still an important part of who I am. You may not remember your own baptism, but that doesn't mean that that baptism isn't an effective and powerful thing in your life if you remember it as a promise that can't be taken away from you. I hope that as we ponder this sacrament of Holy Baptism and how central it is to our life, that you'll consider what it means for your day-to-day to be a baptized person, to have been joined to the life and death of Jesus, and to bring that identity, that knowledge, that promise, that grace with you into your day-to-day. We'll see you in church.